fires happen when you are not seeking out the smoke. The smoke is all around us in our life. And when we ignore it, that's then when fires happen.
Welcome to Self-Made and Sober. I'm your host, Andrew Lassis with selfmade-coaching.com. And in this podcast, it's my job to interview people who are not only crushing it in business, but have also struggled with addiction in the past and are in long-term recovery. Be sure to join our Facebook group where we help entrepreneurs grow and scale their business at facebook.com/groups/SMC Mastermind, like Self-Made Coaching Mastermind. I hope you enjoy the show, and be sure to subscribe and rate the show afterwards so you can get notified each Friday when we put out a new episode. Welcome to the Self-Made and Sober podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Lassis, and with me today is the sober entrepreneur, Russ Perry, the creator, founder of Design Pickle, which is an awesome concept where companies, I know for myself, I've had issues where I need to get designs done. I need a creative person. I don't want to hire somebody full-time necessarily, but I still need things when I need things. And he's able to identify that, bridge the gap, and have lower retainers and still be able to get the images and designs that your company needs to grow so you can look professional without having to have somebody on staff. He's the author of The Sober Entrepreneur, which I think literally off that title alone gives him the leverage to be the perfect guest on the show. Russ, how are you doing?
I'm really great. I'm excited to talk about entrepreneurship, sobriety. It's two of my favorite topics. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, they were two of mine as well. It's kind of why this had started. Initially it was, I want to do something with business. And then I was like, God, there are so many good ones on business, and not that it can't be good, but let's niche down a little deeper. Well, what else are you passionate about?
Travel.
Right.
I thought you were asking me. I'm like, I'll tell you what I'm passionate about.
Well, that's the next one. What are you passionate about?
I think since I really changed, redesigned my priorities in 2013, that's when I committed to sobriety. I realized how much time that was taking up in terms of managing that part of my life. And so once I was able to sort of clear the deck, as I always say, I started to really look at how do I create a lifestyle that supports travel, a lifestyle that supports flexibility. I'm married. I have 3 daughters of all different ages, being able to plug into their lives. And so we now, really integrate those two things. We travel as a family every year in the summer to cool destinations. We just went to London, and my company is supportive of that. So we are an online company, but that includes my teams. We can be wherever we want in the world and still get the job done.
Awesome. And as a running trend on the show, everybody who got sober in 2013 is destined to stay sober for the rest of their lives. And at the time of recording this, and maybe we can finagle something to where the dates line up, but you're 1 month away right now from celebrating 6 years. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
So what did 6.5 years look like for Russ Perry?
What do you mean, in terms of sobriety or?
No, well, what's going on in your life before you get sober?
Oh, rewinding. I understand. 6.5 years. Well, it was a really hard time. 2011 and 2012 was the lowest point of my life, struggling with drinking. I had an affair with my wife, which was awful, obviously, and that was exposed. My businesses were not profitable. Just about every key indicator of is your life working or not was telling me my life is not working. And I finally started to realize, look, I have to have a hard reset, which ignorantly I thought, well, my problems are just inside my business, so let me change that. I didn't really want to admit it was with me and my habits and alcohol. and my sedation. So 2012, 2013, the early part of 2013, I kind of revamped my creative agency, and I found a partner in Argentina who actually it was a great decision from a business standpoint. I reinvented myself as an agency owner, but it was only a Band-Aid. And I was still struggling a lot with stress, still struggling a lot with the pressures of making this business work paycheck to paycheck some months. And it was in the tail end of 2013 into October that we were about a year or so out after the affair and a lot of marriage counseling. And I had this epiphany with my relationship with my wife, Mika. And I looked at our level of trust and how much trust we could have. And I saw that it would always be less than I wanted if alcohol was still in my life. Like, she just wouldn't be able to trust me, no matter what. So I was very committed in having the best marriage possible. I mean, I almost lost it. So I was like, I'm going to do everything possible to make sure that this never happens again. And I'm never put in those situations. And I just, in October 2013, October 22nd, I was just like, I'm done. And that was it. And like leading up to that, I had never anchored in, well, maybe life would be a little bit easier if I cut this out. And the day I made the decision was like the most relieving day ever of my life, because all of a sudden I was able, in hindsight, to see just truly how complex your life is when you're struggling with alcohol or any kind of sedation.
And your recovery early on, it was just, I can't keep this up anymore. And you just decided, the end, I'm done. And then moving forward from there, I mean, obviously there's going to be struggles in the beginning and adjusting to a new lifestyle, but what did the first couple months look like for you?
Yeah. I mean, I think on October 21st, 2013, I saw my wife and I saw my relationship with alcohol that I tried so hard to manage, and it was pretty unsuccessful. And it was like door number one or door number two. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to choose door number one, my wife. And then I walked through that. And initially, I had been going to this really great church in Chandler, Arizona, Cornerstone Church. I don't live in that area anymore. And they had been marketing Celebrate Recovery for a long time. And I talked with my wife, and she's like, I just think you should just go do that. Try it out. And I remember, Andrew, going there and just having this like emotional dump, like crying and just so much emotion, positive, negative, guilt. I mean, I couldn't even identify the emotions, but the one that I still remember was that, wow, there's a bunch of people who are like me that struggle with this too. I'm not alone. And that was key in terms of keeping focused on this new path the first few months. So I went to Celebrate Recovery, or CR as they call it. And it's basically like Christian 12-step program that they have. There's a lot more singing involved. There's like a band usually, and that's cool. I like music. So, but it was fantastic. And I really connected with the people and understood that. And I think, and actually later on, I helped launch a CR program where I live now in Scottsdale, Arizona, at the church I go to. So that was really cool to help facilitate that with the team there.
Awesome. And putting that together, what are some of the lessons you learned in entrepreneurship that you applied to getting that off the ground?
Oh man. Well, first, it was really frustrating because I don't often deal with volunteer organizations. Most of the people I deal with are either paying me or I'm paying them. So we have really clear relationships. The first thing was I have to be very patient, because people don't move as fast. People aren't as communicative. There's no project management systems that you can put everyone on. But I was really, I committed my gifts, which clearly marketing, graphic design, I have those resources. And so we actually created a really cool marketing package for CR at Impact Church here in Scottsdale, Arizona. So the A-frames, the signage, the slides that they would use, the social media posts, I helped do that. And then My gifts is not of time. I don't have a lot of time to be volunteering. So I help financially sponsor people to go get training inside of either 12-step or CR programs and being able to empower other people. But as an entrepreneur, it was like I kind of just made sure that I was asking the right questions, keeping everyone organized. But I had to definitely install some patience on my end, because when it was like month 3 and people are debating over like where the logo goes on this flyer, I'm like, guys, it doesn't matter. Let's just get the flyer done. Like, just put it out there.
You're
Come
preaching
on.
the choir so much. There's so many times we literally just got out of a meeting with my upper management, and we were discussing we're gonna be shifting views with one of our employees who's strong in a very, very specific way, and he's working in a different capacity, and it's like, we can move him back here and fill this gap at least in the meantime. And we were going on and on and on about like why it's a good idea and why we should do it. And there's like, guys, okay, we're doing it. The end. Like, we don't have to really talk about this anymore.
Do it. Yeah.
Like we all agree on it. And then it's like, and you know what else will happen from this? It's like, yeah, I know. Let's get to the next thing, because there's only so much time in a day, and there are always 5 million fires to put out. And then even when they're put out, there's 5 million other fires that you weren't even aware of, that now, because the other fires are out, they always seem to keep showing up. So
Right.
What are some of your strategies for putting out fires or keeping things organized so that fires don't happen as frequently?
Well, I am a huge proponent of time management, time blocking. I actually have a podcast with my wife, Good to Be Home. Goodtobehomepodcast.com is the website, and you can check out, just search time blocking. And we did a whole episode on my system that we use. Every day I have 3 parts of my organizational system, because fires happen when you are not seeking out the smoke. The smoke is all around us in our life. And when we ignore it, that's then when fires happen. So every day I am making sure that I'm very aware of what are all the touch points and teams and family things that I need to be doing. So I could go on for like hours about it, but basically it's step 1, which you can learn about on my podcast on time blocking, is what is the overall theme to the week? When are you going to be working on stuff like this, our podcast, where I'm creating things with other people? When am I going to be working on my own things that I need to be creating? When am I going to have meetings with my team? When am I going to do date night with my wife and kids and family? So I create these themes throughout the week. And then when it comes time for scheduling, I know exactly where to put things. And it's consistent more or less throughout every week. Now, yesterday I was out half the day, so all my meetings got moved to today. So today's a very crazy day, but it's like you have your blocks, and each block is a different shape, and you have all the holes throughout your week that each block can go into. So that's part 1 and 2. Create your themes, kind of start scheduling things. And then something that I've added, which I love, is every morning I sit down, and we're on Zoom video here, but if you're just listening to audio, I'm holding up my written calendar. I write out my calendar on a loose sheet of paper, and I have a nice little collection of these, because I'm just going to put them all in a binder one day, and maybe my kids will find it interesting. I don't know. I thought, like, if I found like my grandpa's daily schedule, that would be kind of cool to see. But this helps me get real focus for the day. How do I need to plan myself? How do I need to plan my energy? Making sure that I'm clear on that. And then if there's any inconsistencies, like I had a double booking today at 4, so I reached out and got that cleared up. So back to your original question, how do we keep out fires? How do we tackle it? You have to be on the offense when it comes to managing your time. If you're not on the offense, then guess what's happened? You're on the defense, and that's when you get hit, and that's when you get knocked back.
I love that, just that perspective of it. That's such a great insight. And I mean, somebody who's in the digital marketing space, you're using physical loose leaf. Is there any correlation or reason why you choose loose leaf over a digital version? Do you get distracted? Like, I mean, for myself,
Absolutely.
I don't
need
insane.
Right. If I have a, let's call it an analog system, an analog loose leaf,
Be cool.
I can just carry this guy around all day, and I don't need to be on my phone. I don't need to be on my computer. I don't need to pull up iCal, but then I actually see a notification for something else. And so this allows me to be present, and I can just, okay, I have next up after this, actually I have an hour block where I'm going to be working on email and catching up. And then I have a lunch meeting with a team member, and I can just cruise through my day and not get consumed in the busy work. Digital is essential. Have to have digital. But when it comes to the day by day, I go to the analog so that I don't get pulled into the whirlwind.
Yeah, I've found that with my own time management system, and I had put my assistant, it was basically my accountability buddy, and she just had a baby a couple weeks ago, and now my whole accountability system is like, I missed one thing one day, and it was like, you know what? She's not going to yell at me ever until she comes back. But having it digitally, I'm in the same boat as you. I like the idea. I mean, I'm a tech guy. I like
Right.
the idea that everything can be digital, everything can be cloud-based, everything can be shared. Doesn't matter if you're in Florida or you're in Alaska. It doesn't matter. It all is seamlessly integrated. And while a piece of paper can't replicate that, at the same time, I found just having a piece of paper on my desk just as a reminder of what comes next, even when I get distracted, with the squirrel brain, because I mean, you throw me on YouTube and the day's over and I've accomplished nothing. But when there's a physical piece of paper just sitting next to you and you just glance at it and you've already blocked out what is important today. And that's one of the things in Gary Keller's The One Thing, where he describes like you just
Right.
the one thing, and that by doing it will make everything easier or unnecessary. And you've decided you block that out, tackle that, get that done. Do you find yourself more motivated to be getting things done in the morning or in the afternoon? What's your sweet spot look like?
Oh yeah, I am definitely a morning to mid-afternoon person. And actually, I've gotten my blood work done, and my cortisol is like super good levels throughout the day. And then at like 5 or 6 p.m., it just crashes. And so if I am not getting the bulk of my work done between when I wake up, it's like I'm on fire, I'm ready to go, to 2 or 3, I cannot get anything strategic done, any higher level thinking, any of that after 3 or 4 in the afternoon. So all of my days are scheduled as such. Anytime I'm creating, it's going to be before lunchtime, and it's going to be right after I get through my morning routines, and I just jump right into it. So today I'm creating with you right now. I want to be in the best possible mindset. I want to be focused. I don't want to be distracted or tired. And I will plan out all of that in the morning. There is a hack that I've used, although it's not easy. And I believe I need to do something physical every day. I sweat every day. It could be weightlifting, it could be running, it could be whatever. Stretching, yoga counts too. And I love doing that in the morning. But if I want to re-energize myself, I'll move it to the afternoon. So I will work in the morning and have a midday workout or a midday hike or run. And then it actually kind of resets myself, and I can go into the night with a lot more energy. Here's the problem. It's very easy to justify and skip it when you move it to the afternoon. So if I'm not really careful, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to do this in the afternoon, and I'm going to be there. And then the afternoon comes, I'm like, nah, I'm not going to do it. I got too many meetings.
Yeah, so, don't you know how important I am? I can't just stop in the middle of the day and exercise.
Right. So
Don't
it's kind of
I am.
Yeah, so it's sort of like a really great hack, but also very likely that you just figure out a way to get out of it.
Yeah, you can't confuse the strategic part of it with, underlying with it is it's a form of procrastination, even if it's good.
It is.
If it's well intentioned. It's not, I will do this at a later time, but I guess coming back around to, if you do block out that time to get it done, it puts you in a better position to, okay, it is noon, it is time for me to do the thing that I said that I would do. And that's kind of like, people, if you're trying to lose weight and eat healthy, it's kind of the same idea as meal prep.
Right.
It's Sunday and you plan out all of your meals throughout the week, and then you don't have to make the decision, do I eat healthy for this meal or
Right.
I eat that cake? It's already been predetermined
Right there.
by yourself, who you don't have to, it doesn't matter what your emotional animal brain thinks, because your analytical brain made it easy enough that your animal brain can't just wander off. It's like, oh, well, it's easier just to eat the stupid celery that I portioned out already for this time in the day. And I think,
Right.
you come back around to it, putting these strategies in place can work for a ton of things, not just entrepreneurship, not just diet and exercise and weight loss. It's really just a design for living that can really be effective in your life. So,
Right.
so shifting gears a bit, what was the motivation behind writing The Sober Entrepreneur?
Yeah. So the sober entrepreneur was a idea that I had about a year and a half in after I started to see big results in my life. Actually, probably more like 2.5 years in after I got sober. I started Design Pickle in January 2015, and then 2000 and end of 2015, a little bit into 2016. I saw this direct correlation between my own personal decision to become sober and my superpowers as an entrepreneur. I was just amazed at how more focused I was. The results that I was getting in 1 year with this new business were almost greater than the results that I was getting after 8.5 years of my previous business. And so I was like, look, I want to go down this path and talk about it. But really, the book is a memoir for my family and for them to learn from my past, life and what has happened. My father, to this day, I love him so much, but he struggles with alcohol. He still has he's 60, 61, 62. Like he is where he's at, and he have a history of his life where he's had challenge after challenge around it. And he never talked about it. He never acknowledged things, rarely sought to try to conquer his own sedation challenges. But I was like, look, I've gotten through this. I don't want to just brush my past under the rug and pretend like it never happened and I'm this perfect person. So I wrote a book and I put it all out there, what I did, the decisions I make, the transgressions in my marriage, and all of this stuff. And then from that, I created a simple recipe for people struggling with any addiction based on, we were talking about habits and systems. I actually learned this habit and system in this program called Warrior that I went after. And it's nothing unique to anyone who studied personal development, but it worked for me. And so I talked about how I implemented these tools and systems in my life, and that allowed me to really not just stay sober, but move beyond and create something. And I think that's like my biggest pet peeve with any program like 12-step or CR, is that they do a great job of getting you to sober, but they don't necessarily say, well, now that you're out of the gutter, what do you want to build? What do you want to create? Let's go forward. Let's have visions for ourselves. It's like, no, let's just stay in the same spot and talk about the same things. And I didn't want a book like that. I was like, look, those are wonderful tools. I highly recommend the community and association of any tools that have been in existence, and they've been around a long time, and they work. But like, let's move forward. Let's build some things. And so it was one part memoir and then one part handbook. And really, that's the two halves of the book. And I have a 14-year-old daughter that's working through it, and she's a little reluctant to read it. I don't think she's that interested in my mistakes, but that's why I had originally done it. Now we have sold thousands of copies. I give them away for free all the time. We have a perfect rating on Amazon for the sober entrepreneur of people whose lives have been impacted by the book. and it's just kind of out there. I don't really market it. I don't really push it. It's just there to help and support.
Yeah, and I think the title, I mean, literally like the way that I came across you, and I have actually seen, I don't know exactly how the algorithm put it all together, but when I was starting the web design portion of my company, which had pretty much just fallen in my lap from enough customers saying, "Do you do web design? Do you do web design?" I guess, the retargeting algorithm. I was seeing Design Pickle ads in my Facebook feed long before this conversation, which is
Yeah.
kind of funny how it all comes together. But I saw the title of the book, really, The Sober Entrepreneur, and then, okay, Russ Perry, and then, you do a little digging, and it's like, hey, that's the guy from from the Design Pickle ad.
Yep.
That's crazy how that all, small world, everything comes together, and that you've got kind of that same background of my life went to shit, and you've had the entrepreneurship in your blood your whole life, I'm assuming, right?
Right. Yeah. No, it's been there. I mean, my first business was right after leaving Apple Computer or Apple, and which was a tough decision. It was a really great job. I worked for them twice in my life, and the second time around, I was at the retail store doing like training as a creative. But I had this like, I want to do my own thing. I want to be in charge. I want to control. I want more control. I want more flexibility. I didn't realize how hard it was going to be for the first, 10 years, but
yeah, they don't tell you that.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's definitely presented, especially this day and age with social media. It's like, hashtag entrepreneur. Like, look at me on a beach doing work. I'm making all of this money, and you can do it too. Just buy my course for $1,997. Here's some testimonials from people that have had their lives transformed. And then you go to it, and then it's like, and for only $10,000, you can get the continued support, and you get access to my team. And then it's like, for $50,000, I will give you a 20-minute phone call each month where you can get inside tools and tips. And then, it's like college. You're like $100,000 in debt, and you have nothing to show for it except for a piece of paper. But
Yeah.
starting a business and grinding it out, I mean, like my experience, year one, it was pretty much solopreneur. And then I had hired a part-time salesman who then recommended it to his friend who made it full-time job. And then, we started building and scaling, and at one point it's up to 50 employees and like multiple offices and just all these things going on all at once. And I was reading something recently, and they said every new employee that you add, it's like multiplies the level of complexity in your organization by 3x.
Yeah.
It's just like, Jesus, what was I even thinking trying to grow? But I mean, the market, if they're asking for more and more, and I'm not going to turn it down. And I like how you had touched on things like CR and 12-step, that a lot of it is perfect for the very, very early on. Especially, I know for myself, when I first got sober, one of my fears was, how do I even have fun doing this?
Right.
And after a while, you come to realize that the problem was me all along. It wasn't
Right.
It wasn't actually alcohol. It was me, and the alcohol was just my symptom, and that's just, the fire that I was putting out that actually wasn't the root of it. But then, a year later, and it's like, oh, I don't want to just keep doing just this beginning part. Like, I want to do something. I want to build something. And they kind of encourage, it's kind of where, I just personally have kind of gripes where it's like, oh, well, let go, let God, which I'm all on board for. But at the same time, you could confuse that with don't do anything. Just let it fall into your lap.
Well, and here's what I say is, like, if I'm going to go, let's say I want to tackle some new fitness challenge. Like I want to run a half marathon, and I've never done that before. More than likely, I'm just going to hire or find someone that's done it. And I'm not going to try to figure it all out myself. I'm not going to try to run science experiments to determine what the best strategy for running is, or spend a crazy amount of time online. And I'm just like, you do that, I'll hire you. Or if I'm want to just get in general shape, I'm just going to go to a gym and take their boot camp class. And so why you don't have to make it complicated. And I love what you said. It's good for the beginner or good for the person just starting, because it's just kind of done for you. All you really need to do is just show up and commit and be super present and vulnerable, and you'll get massive change and growth, and it'll help. But the people who are, oh, I don't want to be associated with that, or I'm not that kind of person, or I'm embarrassed or whatever, you're basically just making life a lot harder for yourself, because you already have a family, you have a job, you have all these things you got to deal with. Take the easy path. And then once, it's like going to the gym. Once you've been in the class for a while and you know how all the workouts work, and you feel confident in there and you're getting some results, then you could do your own thing or kind of explore and do other stuff. But in the beginning, just make it easy. Just go get the program,
Just follow the process. It's kind of like, I discussed this a couple episodes ago with one of the guests, Omar Pinto, who's an awesome person. But we kind of, we're making the parallels of McDonald's and 12-step recovery. And it's kind of like, McDonald's will not give you the best cheeseburger. It will not give you the ultimate experience, but what a McDonald's will give you is a consistent product that works over and over and over and over. It will be successful. There's a gigantic, training program. There's a ton of brand recognition. There's a ton of success in following the McDonald's path. Right. That doesn't necessarily mean that you open a McDonald's and now all of a sudden, you're not competing for the best cheeseburger in the world. Right. You'll never get that with that system. So you go in, you learn the system, and then you can make tweaks and put your name on it. But I think that's so great, because so many people are very reluctant, to spend money on trying something new, because, well, what if it doesn't work? Or I could do this for free. And I love that, in IT, there's a ton of people are like, oh, well, I could just buy some software and do it for free. And it's like, you don't think that all these companies had software, there's like the multi-million-dollar Equifax breach. You don't think they had something better than Norton on their computer? Do you genuinely think they missed that cybersecurity 101? Like, of course, like there's more to it than just those basic things. And, now they've got this gigantic settlement as a result of not having proper security. It's not like they sold it and got caught. Like they got hacked. They're the victim. And then they also have a class action lawsuit against them, which is just like, for a couple bucks.
And I want to go back to the McDonald's analogy. I love that one, because I think there's a lot of ego and pride. And imagine you're like on the longest road trip ever with your family, and you just totally miscalculated it. And like you haven't eaten, you left at 7 a.m. and it's like 7 p.m, and there was no food anywhere. And you get to the McDonald's and you're like, no, I don't want to go to the McDonald's. That's not good quality. It's not organic. I bet there's gluten there. And your family's melting down around you. And you're just like too stubborn to go to the McDonald's. It's like people in life, they'll be struggling with alcohol, they'll be struggling with addictions, they'll be struggling with porn or drugs or whatever their thing is, and their family is like crushing, their life is melting down around them. They're like, no, I will not go to this 12-step program. That is not who I am. And it's just like, shut up and just eat the burger. Just eat the burger.
Eat the burger.
Everyone's going to love the fries. They're genetically modified to taste amazing. So just eat it. And then you can't eat it for the rest of your life, and you're not expected to. You'll get too fat anyway. So just do it now. And that's what I love about these places that run these programs, is they're there and they work. And especially when life is melting down around you, it gets you what you need. And then you can get stable and find the gluten-free option eventually, but not when you're starving. That's not what you want to be thinking about.
Yeah, I think I need to reach out for some endorsement from McDonald's. It seems the
You want to
recurring
know?
theme.
You want to know what's funny is in the book, The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. It's one of the best entrepreneur books I've read, and he talks about franchises and how they're so amazing. And one of the things he says is back to McDonald's. He's like, they're also run by teenagers, and they still get the best output. So think about how organized they are. Well, the same thing is with 12-step or other programs. They're run by addicts and people and volunteers, and they still get the results. So it's like, come on, just do it.
Yeah, there's so many parallels though with sobriety and entrepreneurship and putting these things together. And that was kind of the goal, behind the podcast, is that, I can set my intentions for the day, like you're saying, with just writing down what your schedule is going to be for the day, and say your priority is attending a 12-step meeting. Like, you can put it on there. And for myself, I love your strategy so much, and I just want to keep coming back to it because, for myself as a new father, my son's 6 months old, almost 7 months in a couple of days. Yeah. And, I didn't want to be the stereotypical entrepreneur that is so busy that he misses all of the beginning years of his children growing up. So I have in my schedule, my wife hates this because I said I'm going to put playing with Jack in my schedule, and she said it should be a priority. So I had to say I reprioritize my time to include time with my son. But if I don't set that intention and I don't get the awareness and the clarity that that's what my goal is and how do I achieve that goal, because entrepreneurs, it's not like a punch the clock job. It could be 11 at night and I can have a great idea for something that just blows up, and I have to be on call and available for these things. But at the same time, I have to be available for my wife. I have to be available for my son, my family, my employees. So juggling it and having the priorities, scheduling out, blocking out time is just it's so underrated, but it's so powerful because you're beating your animal mind with your logical mind and basically playing to the animal mind strength. We want the easy, soft way. And the easy, soft way, if you make it that you just follow the schedule, it's absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
But Russ, I want to be conscious of your time. It's been a great episode. Where can people find out more about you and your podcasts and your companies?
Right. So, well, that's a lot of places I exist online. So obviously, if anyone needs some design help, we'd love to reach out to you and talk to you. Just go to designpickle.com. But if you want to learn about either my book or the podcast, you can actually go to sobr.com, sober, sobr.com, sober without an E. And I have links to both. You can check out the book. You can check out my podcast with my wife. It's a very fun family focus, talking about entrepreneurship. My wife's also sober. She's been sober a couple of years now, I think almost 3 now. So she's really grown a lot in that journey. And then I'm on Instagram, just Russ Perry. And I pretty much am on there to chat with people and support. So if you have any questions, you can send me a DM.
Awesome. And I'll be sure to have links to everything in the show notes. But Russ, it was a great episode. And guys, if you enjoyed the show, be sure to check out Russ, everything he's doing. Leave us a review, comments, let us know what you liked, what you didn't like, what your takeaways were. And Russ, have a great day, man. It was so great having you on.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you so much for listening to Self-Made and Sober. Be sure to join our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/SMC Mastermind, like Self-Made Coaching Mastermind. I hope you enjoyed the show, and be sure to subscribe and rate the show so you can get notified each Friday when we put out a new episode.